I want to thank you guys for coming. And secondly, this was a joint investigation between the Ormond Beach Police Department and the Sheriff's Office. Ormond responded first, and clearly what they saw was horrific. And as I take you through the timeline, I want to start out by saying that this father is a human piece of garbage, and he's a lying sack of shit. And he's exactly where he belongs to be, behind bars. He's facing felony aggravated child abuse and felony aggravated manslaughter. So my hope for him is every night when he closes his eyes and every morning when he opens his eyes, his son Sebastian sits there and says, "Dad, why did you do this to me?" Because there is no reason for this little boy to be dead. So we're going to take you through a timeline here of what the investigators put together. So, Andrew? So, Hanky Panky's Lounge, where he gets his hair cut. What he does is he pulls in here, leaves the baby in the car, 11:30 a.m. He gets his hair cut. He then parks his car with Sebastian in it when he gets his hair cut. They then park over here. Sebastian's in the back of the car seat faces the rear window of the car, where he then enters Hanky Panky's Lounge around noon. So you figure the baby's been in the car the ride over. Now, half hour later, after the haircut, baby's still in the car. He decides he's going to go into Hanky Panky's to have a cocktail. He's there from noon to 2:40. So for 2 hours and 40 minutes, that little guy is inside that car. He says the windows were down, but he's a lying sack of shit on a lot of other stuff, with a little mini fan with AA batteries in it blowing on the baby. So he drinks his beers. He has a couple shots of Fireball, and then he comes out of the bar at 2:40 or whatever, and then you hear this frantic 911 call that Ormond responds to. So if you go around, what we got here with witnesses, 11:30 at the haircuttery place, 11:41. He pays for their haircut. Customer ahead of him pays for his haircut. At noon, he heads over, finishes the barber, goes over across the street, and then he heads there. Bartender serves him. Thank God we got great witnesses. Bartender says, never saw Sebastian in the bar, although there have been times where he's brought Sebastian in the bar. Buys his first round of drinks, 1 o'clock. A customer's car backs into the bartender's car. He's a real nice guy, right? Goes outside to check on the bartender's car, but doesn't go over to his car to check on his son. Goes back in the bar, has another shot in the beer. 2 o'clock, the bartender leaves, and Gardner is still at the bar, so we're assuming around 2:40 he leaves, drives a short distance home, and this is his 911 call.
My son's not breathing. He's a year and a half.
I'm outside with you?
Oh my God, he just had his eyes open. Oh my God.
Okay, is
Sebastian.
Okay, how old is he?
A year and a half.
Okay, is he breathing?
No.
Is he, you don't see any chest rising or falling?
Mom.
Hello?
He's not breathing.
Listen to me. Oh my God! Hello?
I gave him the highlight.
Oh my God! Hello?
I'm on the phone with him. Hello?
Okay, listen to me. Can you get him on a hard, flat surface?
A hard, flat surface.
Okay, are you guys inside now? Because I've got units on the way there to you at 37 Standish Drive.
So the investigation reveals he's in that car for over 3 hours. When the Ormond Beach police officer arrives at 2:49, he can't do CPR because the baby's in rigor mortis. The hospital says the baby's temperature was over 107 degrees when the baby arrives at the hospital. But the way your body cools, the nurses estimate that the highest temperature of that car was 111 degrees with that little guy in the back of that car seat. And then if you watch the body camera footage, which we can't show you inside the hospital, not only did he treat the Ormond Beach Police Department like pieces of shit, he treated the doctors and the nurses, the staff in Advent, like pieces of shit. So this guy is nothing but a piece of shit. And as I said earlier, I pray that his son is constantly in his vision asking him, Dad, why did you do this to me? There's no logical reason why this little guy is dead. But it gets better. Father of the year, baby's dead, investigation is going on. What does he do? He picks up his mother and they go back to hanky-pankies for a few more cocktails, and they're there until almost midnight. Now, I don't know what anybody here thinks or anybody can have sympathy for somebody like that, but my God, all of us that are fathers and grandfathers and mothers, and how in the world can you be so messed up that you would allow your child to sit back there in Florida in 90-degree weather, walk outside and check on some car and never go near your son? Never. I don't think there's a penalty on this earth that could ever fit for the crime that was committed here. It absolutely shocks the conscience for this, that this even happened. There's no reason whatsoever. So the investigators are here. Chief Godfrey's here. Anybody has any questions, they're the ones that are going to answer them.
Where's the baby? Where's the kid?
He's on the floor, man. He's been eating yogurt. He's been fine. I just threw out.
Oh my gosh. Hurry, Brian.
Please, please, please. Oh my God. You're my son.
And not before you want Central. You got evac rolling over here?
Hurry. Oh my gosh.
Emergency.
So I guess Dad had to figure out some kind of story, and Ormond will tell you what they discovered with the car, with the position of the car seat. Even if the air conditioner was blowing, it was great in the front seat and the passenger seat, but the back of the car, there was absolutely a difference in the temperature of the vehicle as well. A little dollar store fan on your kid. So any questions? These come on up, gentlemen. Come on up. And any questions? These are the investigators that worked it. You know, I liked yesterday that we with Ormond made sure that the Ormond Beach police officer was the first one to arrive at the scene, was the one to put handcuffs on that piece of shit.
Go, Scott. Anything out there you should have right now?
Wallet.
Excuse me, puppy.
Scott, watch your step. Be
Marty, I love you.
Love you guys. Well, I don't even know where you guys are.
Yeah,
Down the road.
Bye, because you're not going to come back here again.
From what I know is the vehicle, the windows were down, the car was not on, no AC, and the child's in the back of the truck, rear-facing seat with a fan that went towards him, but not, it wouldn't have been like right on his face.
Did he own up to this ever, or did he say he just forgot the kid was back there?
No, he did eventually. He owned up to it in an interview. There was information that the Ormond Beach Police Department was able to obtain, some facts and statements, and when confronted with this, he did ultimately confess to his actions. So the mom and dad are not together. Mom lives in another county, and he actually has the custody, but not officially, but he's taking care of the child.
And his mom, I know the sheriff mentioned that they went to drink at a bar. Did she, I guess, know about what happened? Do you expect like additional charges at all?
No, my personal opinion, I don't feel like she knows what happened. She actually sat in on an interview with him when I interviewed him, and it looked like it was a shock to her and some of the statements that she made.
So with the death occurring likely at Hanky Panky's based off of the information that was provided to us initially by medical personnel at the hospital, the child would have died between probably 1 to 2 hours before 911 was ever called and before he drove to his mother's house.
So he literally drove from the bar home?
Drove to his mother's house.
To his mother's house. Can you explain that?
So to my best understanding, I don't know if he told you all anything different, he drove from Hanky Panky's. The residence of the defendant's mother is relatively close, like 1 to 2 miles from the bar. And so he drove from the bar, called 911 at some point, en route to the mother's house.
And that lines up with the surveillance that we already have showing about when he would have been leaving, 911 call and all that, because it's 1 mile, and he called at what, 2:45?
Yeah, 240.
So the suspect, he lived with his mom? Or?
He lives alone with, or he lived alone with Sebastian at a different location.
You're sitting went back, is this while the charges were pending, he went back to the bar?
Well, these guys were doing their investigation. Him and his mother, who, and as Sean said, really wasn't aware of all the facts. They go back to Hanky Panky's, and I think they're there for 4 or 5 hours drinking cocktails. I do want to say, though, these guys did a phenomenal job. They rounded up. People were giving us information. There was no, we're not going to give you information. They were giving us everything they could possibly give, which made the investigation, I think, run so much faster to get to where we are now.
Were those people that were given the information, once they found out it was a kid, did that make it easier because they were, concerned about the child?
I'll let them answer it, but I think Sebastian had been in that bar, Hanky Panky's. They let him in there with the child. So they all knew the little guy.
Did any witnesses ever share maybe what was the mother and the father's, I guess, vibe once they went back to Hanky Panky's after the child had?
Go ahead, you interviewed with them.
They said that they didn't seem as distraught as you would expect someone to be for their child having just passed, which is consistent with the interactions that we had with him when we were at the hospital.
Good afternoon, Chief Godfrey, Jesse Godfrey, Ormond Beach Police Department. Thank you for being here. On behalf of the police department and our partners at the Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office, we want to extend our condolences to the family and all those affected. Standing right here behind me, this is probably one of the worst calls that law enforcement has to go on. And we have to deal with it, and we are providing services to our officers as far as mental health and wellness, because this is a tough one. I'll tell you that. This will never leave us. The sheriff did a great job outlining the arrest and the circumstances leading up to it. I will just say that when a child's life is lost like this, there has to be accountability, and that's what's happening right now. And I'm very I'm pleased with the way the investigation started out. It started out as a CPR call, an infant CPR call, and then it evolved into this, what you're here to see today. The collaboration between the Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office, I'm proud of what our men and women did from Ormond Beach. I'm proud of what you detectives did from the Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office. They're not here right now, but they did a great job as far as prosecution and helping us out along the way, and I can't highlight the collaboration enough. I will take this time to educate and warn the public. It takes about, in a car in Florida, with our Florida heat, it takes minutes for the back seat with all the windows closed for it to become deadly. And a child's body heat heats up 3 to 5 times faster than an adult's. And I'm not a physician, but I just know there's something with toddlers and babies that they heat up and they can't control their heat. They don't have the thermostat that we do. And I just can't stop thinking about young Sebastian in that car seat. The sheriff highlighted it, but I just can't, I can't leave that thought, can't leave my brain. I know our detectives are impacted by it, and it's just a horrible thing, and I'm just glad he's being held accountable. I will tell you that Officer Mark Pedoviano, our officer on scene that was trying to do CPR, the sheriff was gracious enough to let him put the handcuffs on the suspect. I texted him this morning, and I wanted to make sure he was doing okay. I stopped by the scene the day of the incident, and I wanted to check on him today, and he said it really helped. So thank you for that, Sheriff, and your staff, that whoever coordinated that. And again, child safety, that's our job. We're supposed to keep our children safe. And I just ask parents and guardians. I'm a grandfather, I'm a father. I know there's parents in the room right here on the other side of those cameras. It's probably your worst nightmare. And I would just say, do everything you can do to educate the public. There's apps, there's classes you can take if you don't have the money. There's so much technology out there now. This tragedy should never happen. And again, I appreciate your time for being here. Thank you, Sheriff, for having us. Thank you, the detectives in the back of the room, for helping us out. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be available. Thank you so much.
I think Chief Godfrey said it all. I mean, he said it all. And, you know, we've seen it. People forget their kids in the back seat. But this was completely different. This was intentional. That's what the charges are for. You know, anybody with a lick of common sense would say, why would I leave my child in the car while I get my hair cut and then go drinking with a little mini fan blowing on him and think that somehow is going to be a good thing, that's just going to end up perfectly. But, you know, what they didn't get into is the original story, because there's always the lies, right? the lie of, oh, we had this great day, we were at the playground, we were doing this, we were doing that, and yeah, you blew CPR and his eyes open. He was dead. He was dead. And it took him a while to come off that story. Even then, he knew, and he wouldn't even come off the story and say, I messed up, this is what I did, I killed my son. Till the very, very end. And then even then, I don't believe he was exactly truthful of everything that happened. But it makes you wonder how many times he actually did do this, because it wasn't the first time, in my opinion. He's done it other times. This is the first time that Sebastian died from his actions.
So you guys told you a different story initially?
What he tells them initially is this all was good with the world, and this is like a Sid's death if you read the interviews. But when you get the medical report and you realize the little guy was dead. When he was in the bar drinking Fireball and beer, his son was dead. When he was out there checking on the car accident and not going over to check on his kid, the kid was dead.
And while he's getting his haircut, the kid was not in the barbershop.
Kid was in the back seat of the car. Sebastian was in the back seat of the car. So these guys are around if you want to ask them any specifics. So thank you all very much for coming out.